Well, here we are back in Mittenrahm, in the Brakenrahm. Yeah, I think all of the work has been contained on the island. I believe the statues are just out of visual range over there somewhere. They haven't been touched. I did take a quick look at the previous video, and it was part way along. Definitely done the use the fill command to swap out all the terracotta, or swap in the terracotta rather, I suppose. Been a bit of a headache trying to figure out what's going where. As I think I mentioned in the previous video, after filling in some of the terracotta, the yellow terracotta, I had left these spikes untouched. It wasn't intentional, just the way that filling in things worked, which is when I decided to do them different colors. And I knew they needed to be dressed up. I don't think this had been done in the last video, maybe. It didn't go too badly. It's a nice effect. And I'll be a little bit more about these shortly. There's some additional story come around about these things. But in the meantime, I had started doing swathes of yellow concrete, and it's actually all the way around now that this has actually been done. But over here, I had done an underhang with the dark browns. Kind of implies shading, but that's, or shadow more precisely, but that makes no sense because the end has got a passive light source all over the place, so there wouldn't be a hard shadow. And then when I started to do this brown and orange effect along the edge, it just naturally clipped where the brown had been done. And I had to modify it just a little bit, but once it was in, I was like, okay, that's nice. And then this one I did it on the underside, and I'm like, well, that's okay, but it's not brilliant. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll just put it on the other side as well. And yeah, I have mixed feelings about it. I would be happier if I could find a better way to light it. The problem with these is the yellow glass is kind of it's far too different from the yellow concrete. And I've tried all sorts of things. Something that's kind of had some success, that's not a good example. These ones seem to be working better. And again, not using the yellow because, I don't know, the yellow's got something garish about it that's not working for this. I need something more subtle, more muted. But it's not gone too badly. I used this abandoning the yellow to highlight underneath. I think that's okay. I may have to use it in additional locations. Apparently I used it here. I don't actually remember doing this. Weird. I mean, yeah, I don't remember doing this. I mean, they seem like they're all part of the same thing, but I didn't connect them. Strange. Anyway, still struggling to find highlights for the edges or the surfaces. I find that this one looks pretty good, maybe because it's coming from the darker patch, but this purely light edging just looks weird. Like, why? Why is it here? What's it for? This doesn't make any sense. doesn't work visually. But I have actually moved on to the interior for a moment while I kind of let this settle. I do need to do something similar to the decorative work along the edge of the green. I have something similar was started. I'm not sure which way it's going to go. I may try something similar to where I started with the yellow, which was just blotches of yellow sweeping down to form a patchwork. To see how that goes. There are obviously still some very large blank areas which do need something. So I'll have to... I've just basically got a lot of questions to answer, and I just need to step onto some stuff away to something else that's hopefully not going to be as taxing. This border between the two colorations had mixed of... Yeah, this isn't too bad. It's meant to be viewed from a distance, so that's always kept in mind. It's a nice clash, which is probably more what I'm after. I think this one doesn't work as well with the yellow on the outside. It's not a natural transition between the colours. The yellow is too bright for the concrete is too bright for the terracotta, and too bright to then go into this. And I don't know, maybe I can get rid of the oak, stripped oak, and just use the stripped birch. But I have tried numerous combinations. From this point, I have decided I want to include some more landmass representing what will probably a seafloor. Most likely going to be coming out here, a couple of basins or bowl shapes. So one at about this height, and then another slightly lower, and then another slightly lower. But I'm also thinking, in addition to this, there will be a ethereal sea all the way around the island that may have occupied the entire empty space within which the end island sits. So although this used to be a solid piece of land connected to the ground and an undersea seafloor, and tectonic plates and that kind of thing, it was still an isolated island. So, as far as these things go, I'm going to be building a smaller one here, probably only about this big, as much as it takes to pull off, I suppose. A couple more underneath, and just a few others around, because these are shulkers. These are ancient shulkers, and I've been working on how this works. Basically, when they're younger, they teleport about. They find somewhere to settle, and then they stay there. They feed off of the minerals in the ground and the magic, or at least consume the magic through the minerals, and they just grow. And they end up getting bigger and bigger, and they never move again. But in keeping with what happens to these chorus trees becoming the chorus plant, the shulkers won't be able to grow as big because there's not as much magic around. So they will shrink, and by staying smaller, they will keep the ability to teleport. So they can move around now and just attach them to new spots where there's new feeding grounds. But of course, this is only partway through the death of the end, so the remaining magic in this place is almost entirely going to disappear. over the next few thousand years, I think it will be. So the shulkers will continue to get smaller until they are nothing more than the boxes that we know. I'm going to, in the water part, wherever it goes, I was thinking here maybe. It's a nice shape, a nice basin area. This would mean converting some of this to watercolours. Although there's a way to explain why it looks the way that it does. After the main destruction of the forest that sat here, places like the fire realm more easily took over the areas. But you know, it's actually mostly to avoid sticking it on the end of the edge here. I was hoping to more round out the island a little bit. I mean, it's fairly evenly balanced. There's perhaps a little more of it toward the far side anyway. So, yeah. Actually, looking at it now, what would we do? If the forest used to actually be all the way out here, I just accept that this is the edge of the forest anyway. So I could switch over to water. You'll see partly here. I don't feel like building the entire thing all the way around. Even if I'm only building a fragment of what it used to be, it's still a lot of work. A lot of repetitive, almost pointless work. I could accomplish all of the same thing just by building something smaller extending off of the edge here. But that's all future problems. I won't bother showing you what I'm working on underground because it's literally just begun. There's really nothing to see. So we'll stop with another shot of these guys. I'll try not to look at anything that I don't like and would like to change but can't think of anything to do. Oh, Enderman. There's obviously a couple of spots where they can still spawn. Anyway, let's also say adieu and get on with some work.